Good morning, everybody. It's Sam here from careermap.co.uk and welcome to day 5 of National Apprenticeship Week 2022. This morning's session, we're joined by the team from Pfizer, who will be talking about their early career opportunities and their apprenticeship schemes. But before we begin the session, if you could just look to the right of the presentation screen, you'll see a chat facility. We are live, so ask any question at any time, and what we'll do, we'll try and run through as many as we can during the Q&A session at the end. But without further ado, I will pass you over to the Pfizer team to begin the presentation.
Thanks, Simon. Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thanks for joining. My name's Jodie Dunster and I'm the Early Careers Recruitment Manager here at Pfizer. I'm joined today by my colleagues Tim Mahoney, Ellie and James Mills, who will all spend some time talking to you today. So Tim, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Jodie. Yeah, so welcome everyone. My name's Tim Mahoney. I'm the Skills Account Manager at Cogent Skills. You might be a little confused because you might be thinking, I thought today was all about Pfizer, and it is. And a little bit later on, you'll understand Cogent's relationship with Pfizer. But essentially, one of my main roles with Pfizer is to help them support their apprenticeship program. So I do this by supporting the apprentices and the line managers. I also engage with the training providers in the setup, monitoring, delivery, and I'm also the lead point of contact for all apprenticeship matters that to do with the Pfizer apprenticeship program. Over to you, Jodie.
Thanks, Tim. So as I mentioned, my name's Jodie and my role is to specifically support the apprenticeship program for both colleague development within Pfizer and new apprentices joining. In terms of our agenda today, in a moment, I'd like to share a short video with you about who is Pfizer and what we do, where we are and why work at Pfizer. Tim and I will talk through several slides sharing details on how Pfizer and Cogent work together, the application process and our current vacancies. I will share some details around our current apprentices, and then most excitingly, Ellie and James will share their personal experiences with you. We encourage you to ask lots of questions this morning. Please use the time to get as much out of the session as possible. It will be recorded and made available to anyone who can't attend today. Our purpose at Pfizer is about breakthroughs that change patients' lives. After more than 170 years of treating and preventing disease, we've arrived at a new era, time of extraordinary focus on our science and the value it brings to people around the world. I'll share a short video with you now to give you an insight into where we are today. So, Pfizer in the UK. Pfizer has 4 sites with around 2,500 colleagues working across them. Walton Oaks in Surrey is our head office and home to around 700 employees who work across the biopharmaceutical business or in one of the business support functions. Sandwich in Kent, which is home to over 800 employees, working on Pfizer's automated pilot plant, manufacturing medicines for Pfizer clinical trials worldwide. It's also home to our pharmaceutical science small molecule team. Hurley in Berkshire is home to global and regional teams representing vaccines research and development and customer services, marketing, quality operations, regulatory affairs, medical information and safety. And finally, Cambridge, our Devices Centre of Excellence, where we specialise in the design and development of medicines delivery devices, such as auto-injectors and injector pens. So why work at Pfizer? The UK is an important location for us. Our site in Sandwich is home to Pfizer's fully automated pilot plant that manufactures medicines for use in our clinical trials worldwide and is able to perform every step in the complex process of developing new medicines. Sandwich is also home to Pfizer's worldwide safety and regulatory operations, where medicine licensing for 170 markets across the globe are managed. As I mentioned, our Devices Centre of Excellence in Cambridge is another key site specialising in delivery devices. The next video I want to share with you shows how our Sandwich site plays a crucial role in the development of medicines and its economic and social contribution.
It makes you feel proud that you're doing something that really makes a difference.
The site really plays an integral part in Pfizer's overall enterprise.
We do amazing things, and I'm not sure that the local community or the UK as a whole really truly understands that.
When you first see the site, it's like arriving to a little mini city. So you have got all these different buildings with loads of different colleagues.
You initially get a feeling of the buzziness and the excitement that's within the hub. It's a feeling where things happen, where things come to life.
Pfizer actually moved on site in the 1950s as a manufacturing organisation. And really it was the late 90s, early 2000s is when the site produced a number of amazing breakthrough medicines of their time.
We support the entire product portfolio, 600 plus products from our site in Sandwich. So we contribute to hundreds of millions of patients globally, and that is something we're very proud of.
We're always working on something down the pipeline. There's always something in development, whether it's a pharmaceutical drug or component, or whether it's a new innovative idea how to do something smarter and more efficiently.
It is really, really exciting place. I mean, many MPs have, they may have some vast warehousing. It's all very good for jobs, but it's not as exciting as having a world-leading company in this field on our doorstep.
We have a very extensive outreach programme to schools, even at junior school level, through to senior schools, through to the universities, through to our placement schemes, through to sponsoring PhDs as well. So I think contributing to bringing on the next generation of scientists is very important to the UK.
We're bringing our science, but we're then bringing data and technology to bear on some of the world's biggest problems. And we're seeing that right now with COVID-19.
In Sandwich, what we're actually doing is we're doing a lot of the formulation work to design intravenous formulations that will be used in hospitals. if the molecule is successful, to treat severely ill patients.
Being part of that team that can make such a difference to the world, because it is what's going to get us out of this at the end of the day. And beyond COVID, any other disease that you have, being able to find cures for those will change people's lives. And that's probably the biggest thing that makes me proud of working here.
Our purpose is brought to life by Sandwich. I mean, we talk about breakthroughs that change patients' lives. There isn't a single medicine or vaccine that we will develop in the years to come that won't be touched in some way by a colleague or a process or a function down at Sandwich.
What is going on in these places is truly world-leading, revolutionary, high value, and good for UK PLC into the future.
That feeling of the difference that you are making to anybody, could be your neighbor, could be your relative, could be somebody anywhere in the world, that feeling is something that fills your heart with warmth, and I don't think there is nothing else that can compare to it.
So now I'll hand over to Tim.
Thank you, Jodie. So who are Cogent Skills? So we are a skills and talent partner, and we work solely within the science sector. And as a skills and talent partner, we try to attract, retain and develop people. We are a registered charity and a not-for-profit organisation, and we are specialists, as I said, within the science sector. So during our time, we have helped to develop over 20 new science-based apprenticeship standards, and we also work quite closely within the science sector and government to help create national occupational standards. We are fully registered. We do actually have a small training arm to our business, and we are on the register of apprenticeship training providers, which means that we are allowed by the government to deliver apprenticeship training. In addition, and most importantly for you as a potential apprentice, Cogent is on the register of apprenticeship training agencies. An ATA, or Apprenticeship Training Agency, enables Cogent to support companies by taking on apprentices where they would otherwise be unable to do so. So ATAs recruit, employ and arrange training for apprentices on behalf of employers. And this is our relationship with Pfizer and how we support Pfizer's apprenticeship program. Pfizer acts as the host employer, and if successful, you would be working at Pfizer for the duration of your apprenticeship. But Cogent will take full responsibility for your contract for employment, and therefore you would be employed by Cogent. So what is the application process? So as I said before, Cogent helps with the recruitment process. So all the apprenticeship vacancies are found on this link. We do also advertise all the Pfizer apprenticeship vacancies on the government portal as well. And in terms of the application process, we've tried to keep it simple by having 4 steps that you need to follow. So step 1 is to apply online. So for all our vacancies, you will need to submit an application form. It's a Word document. You'll need to download it and fill it in and upload it against the job. So we would recommend you keep a copy saved to your computer that you can continue to update like you would a CV. The form will ask you to fill in sections such as what are your main strengths? What skills would you like to improve during this apprenticeship? What are your hobbies and interests? What do you consider your biggest achievement? You will need to list all your qualifications and work experience. And if you're still studying, you can put your predicted grades. We would also recommend you list any qualifications you've started but may not have finished. Also ensure that you list all your work experience. It's good for employers to see what level of experience you have. Finally, the form will ask you to write answers to 2 employer questions that are particular to the role you're applying for. And these questions can be found in the job advert. These questions are key and a great opportunity to show how interested you are in the role and for you to explain why you think you will be a great fit for the company. So step 2, profile matching. So this is broken down into 2 parts. So the first part is the application screening by our recruitment officer. And essentially they're looking for 2 things. Do you meet the eligibility requirements? And have you answered those 2 employer questions? Then there'll be a candidate screening by the recruitment officer. And this is just a very short telephone conversation, really just trying to get a little bit more about why you're interested in that position, what are your career aims, and just a very simple information, advice and guidance discussion. Assuming you get through stage 2 by meeting all these requirements, you're then at stage 3, which is the anytime video interview. So what is the one-way video interview? Well, it's a great way for you to complete an interview with Cogent Skills at a time that is convenient to you. We pre-record the interview questions, normally around 5, and you record a video of your answers to each question. Now, we partner with a company called Spark Hire to enable us to do this. How it works is that you'll receive an invite from them to complete the interview and be given a deadline by which you need to complete it. When you log in to complete your interview, you will see a demonstration video on how the system works. Then, after following the on-screen instructions that checks your computer setup, you will be ready to record your video. Now, the benefit of this is that you can complete the interview at any time, day or night. You can even record yourself using your phone. So whilst this is a much more convenient method than a face-to-face interview, you should still treat it the same way as if you were having your interview in person. These interviews are then shared with the hiring manager at Pfizer alongside your application form, and a final decision is then made as to whether you are shortlisted for the face-to-face interviews. So as you can see, the last stage is the face-to-face interviews. And recently, in the last 2 years, it's been more of a virtual face-to-face meeting. But this might change for this year's apprenticeship campaign. So as I said previously, all our interviews are carried out via Microsoft Teams, and the actual interview format will vary depending on the nature of the apprenticeship position. But typically, most interviews will involve a presentation and a behavioural-based interview. So what tips can we give you in order to help with your application? Well, obviously, one of the most important things is to remember to answer the 2 employer questions. It's really important that you answer those really well. And also demonstrate why you're interested in the role. Another really hot tip is try to find the apprenticeship standard that you're applying for. They are very easily able to find, and by finding out the apprenticeship standard, you will then identify what are the knowledge, skills and behaviours that you're going to learn as part of your apprenticeship. Other stuff you should really be doing is, if you are invited to an interview, is to research the employer. Obviously, you don't need to know everything about Pfizer, but try to show an interest, make an effort, try to find out what are their main products or services. There's lots of information out there. You could look at the employer website, you could maybe follow them on social media, but there is lots of things out there. And lastly, obviously, please ensure that you get your application in on time. At the moment, most applications are closing on the 14th of March, but we are getting new vacancies coming in all the time, and some of those will be closing on the 31st of March. Jodie.
So Tim, do you want to run through those roles that are listed that we've got there, and then I'll do the additional ones that we've been...
no problem.
Yeah.
So as you can see, this is a snapshot of some of the roles we've actually got live at the moment. So if you remember that web link, if you were to click on there, these are some of the roles that you would find. So we've got, as you can see, starting from the top, we've got a level 4 accountancy position. So that'd be based at the Walton Oaks, the head office of Pfizer, and that's a 2-year apprenticeship. We've got a lab scientist at level 6, so that's a 5-year program based at Sandwich. Marketing manager, again, that's based at Walton Oaks. That's a 2-year program. The engineering apprenticeship, so if there's only one watching this and perhaps they've completed their level 3 engineering apprenticeship and is looking for a higher apprenticeship, this would be the one for you. This is at level 4, so it is a progression opportunity. Alternatively, you might be coming to finish the end of maybe your BTEC level 3 in engineering. Again, if you've done that, you would be eligible to apply for that position. Then we've got a business admin position, so that's 18 months. One of our first apprenticeships as a level 6 digital marketeer has just been advertised. So we're really excited about that one. And as you can see, the training provider is London South Bank University. And we've also got another lab scientist position again. So that's another 5-year program studying at Greenwich University. Jodie.
Thank you. So in addition to these roles here, we're also finalising adverts for another degree level data scientist apprentice, an additional lab scientist in chemistry, and then we're looking at 4 roles within our submissions management team looking at project management. So I promised to share what our current apprentice cohort looks like. Our early years programme has grown somewhat, and this will hopefully give you an idea of the great network we have here at Pfizer. We currently have 43 apprentices working with 11 different training providers. You can see that the level of the apprenticeship varies, with level 6 being the most popular. The spread is currently across both the Sandwich and Walton sites, with the majority sitting at the laboratory scientist level 6 in Sandwich. This year to date, we've had 26 expressions of interest from the business for a variety of apprenticeship roles, and our goal is to fill 21 positions in 2022. To give you an idea, we like to keep the level around between 40 and 50 apprentices on site at any one time. So now for the best bit. I'm really pleased that Ellie and James are able to share their experiences with you today. It's a great way for you to see exactly what it's like to do an apprenticeship at Pfizer. They're experiencing it firsthand. Before I hand over to them and let them introduce themselves, I'd like to share a couple of videos with you. We have our early years at Sandwich and our apprenticeship videos. They're real people, real lives, experiencing real opportunities.
What gets me out of bed in the morning is being able to go into work and just knowing that gradually, step by step, I'm doing real chemistry. I'm very much being given current projects. I'm helping develop the drugs that they are currently working on. And the whole thing is just a really good way of getting that early experience before you go out into the world.
So at Pfizer, they're really interested and invested in your work-life balance. Only 45-minute meetings, no longer than an hour. You've got a gym on site. It makes you feel, as an employee, a bit more thought about. They're actually invested in your well-being.
Managing to get to an apprenticeship and actually having uni on the side for free is a ridiculous deal. It's perfect. What really makes me tick is new ideas, really getting involved in innovation, new things, developing new technologies and getting on the cutting edge of science.
I joined Pfizer as an undergraduate, completed my undergraduate year. I had a lot of support and encouragement from my bosses who were very keen for me to apply for the graduate scheme. I'll be honest, I had such a fantastic year in that third year. All I could think about was coming back to Pfizer.
I think within Pfizer, everybody gives opportunities to speak to other people, to gain more knowledge, learn what other people are doing. Everyone is so friendly. It makes you a more confident person that will be able to go and feel confident to speak to senior leaders. That's really important going into a new job as well.
So when I was finally offered a permanent role with Pfizer, I did shed a tear when that contract offer came through. Emotional moment to think that you've come through all the schemes, all the training, all the years of university education, to finally be offered a contract in such a brilliant company on a permanent basis.
I feel like Pfizer are very supportive of me and my team want me to do well and they will me to do well. If I do need time where I've got an exam coming up and maybe I need an extra study day or I need an hour extra to look over my studies, I will get that.
I am currently a lead business administrator with Pfizer and I just completed my level 4 apprenticeship in business administration. We're quite lucky in the fact that we're given 5 volunteering days a year, so we can almost give back a bit by going out to schools and saying, look, this is what we've done, this is how we've got here, maybe you should consider it too.
So I'm actually buddied up with Ryan, whose marketing role in his last year is actually the role that I'm doing now. So it's quite a nice relationship because I can go to him, ask him about things he would have dealt with in his first year. It's someone that you can talk to and they've been there and done it.
Colleagues reinforce your abilities and tell you when you do a good job. Little things like that have really helped me feel like I've become one of the best versions of me that I could be.
The university isn't right for everyone. It wasn't right for me. Apprenticeship was, and I've done well for 2 years, so.
By going onto a graduate scheme like we've got at Pfizer, you're going to be exposed to key elements of a business very early on.
You can go back to uni knowing where you want to get to by the time that you finish there.
The best part of my job is the fact that I get to meet so many different people. It's about inspiring the next generation of scientists, of mathematicians, of engineers, of people like me who want to come and help to create those medicines that will then help the patients.
I think people have such a negative misconception of apprenticeships that you might just be making the tea. People don't realise that you can be working in such a professional career. I'm a pharmaceutical material scientist at Pfizer. I work full-time now. I've been employed in my job for a year. However, I started my apprenticeship 4.5 years ago, so I started as a level 5 apprenticeship.
It's really great to have someone who's very self-motivated and interested in developing herself. Emma has looked for opportunities not only to learn more in the scientific sense, but also to think about leadership and teamwork. She's looked at different scientific areas, and more recently she's been getting quite enthusiastic in building her computational skills, which are obviously very important for the industry in the future.
So I actually started in 2012, so 9 years ago now, and I started as an advanced apprenticeship, and this was with Kent College. So I started then as a 2-year course, and then I got a contract position luckily, and I've just enjoyed it like ever since.
They bring new vision, new thoughts, new ideas. They're innovative and creative in their thinking as well, and that's something we really find we benefit from. When the apprentices come into us, it's understandable that they're quite nervous, but we are well equipped and with managers and supervisors who really just want the students to come in and succeed, and I think that that's what we're really passionate about, and to really try and develop our talent pipeline of the future, really.
There are so many advantages of doing an apprenticeship. So getting a wage is wonderful. I'm not going to say that it's not, but equally it's the experience that you gain that I think is so much deeper. I mean, I started when I was 18, I'm only 22 now, and I feel like I have such a far superior knowledge of the processes that I work with day to day and the things that I work with in material science than I ever would if I'd have gone to university.
Because she's studying for her degree alongside the work that she does for us, she's got all that chemistry knowledge right there, ready to go. And so she's able to bring that to projects and help us with scientific questions as well.
I'm always taking on new opportunities, like learning new techniques. There's always new people joining the team, so it's just always learning and experiencing new things.
We like to build the students' competency skills, to give them an idea of what it's like working hands-on in the pharmaceutical industry, alongside world-class scientists, as well as in other areas of the business as well. So for us, if we can entice them to come and do an apprenticeship with us, if we can give them all of the tools that they need to do their roles, to be successful in their studies, give them the time they need to complete their studies and their exams, and come out of it with a degree, and then still want to come and work here, that to me is what success looks like of a truly great apprenticeship programme.
I am proud of what I've achieved to an extent. I'm also my harshest critic. There's definitely more that I want to achieve in terms of work. I think the key thing about my apprenticeship that drives me is just the love of the scientific work. So I do love the kind of novel research aspects of the work and how we can improve for the future.
I think the apprenticeship has given her a real kickstart on that career. You know, she's got not just the qualifications behind her, but also that work experience and connections she's made through her time as an apprentice, and I expect her to do really well at Pfizer.
The students come in, they're hungry to learn, they've got a mechanism of support in there, the managers just want them to come in, succeed, and they just fly. And watching these students grow and develop and how quickly they do that is just incredible.
So I'll hand over to Ellie. Ellie, fire away.
Thanks, Jodie. So, hi everybody. As Jodie said, my name's Ellie. I'm a level 6 project management integrated degree apprentice, and I am based at the Sandwich site in Kent. However, obviously, because of coronavirus over the last couple of years, I am and have, well, still will be working from home for a little while longer. So I started working at Pfizer in 2018 when I joined as a level 4 project manager apprentice. And for my level 4, I studied with BPP University, and I've since progressed and I'm now studying my level 6 with the University of Cumbria, and I'm just a bit more about halfway through that. So yeah, both my levels have been via online learning. However, my level 6 was supposed to be face-to-face, but unfortunately because of COVID again, that has been unable to happen. So I'm on an integrated degree course, which means that my higher level apprenticeship qualification is actually embedded within my honours degree. So both the qualifications are their own right, but the apprenticeship qualification counts as credits towards my final degree. I study with my university for one day of the week. So for me, it's every Tuesday, but this could change depending on your provider. And this entails like attending live online lectures, and depending on the tutors for each module, it can also include like some independent study time, some group activities or presentations and just things like that. And like any university course, I do actually also have to complete assignments at the end of each of my modules. So again, this could be like written in an essay format as a report, could even be an exam or again, a presentation and group work. It just depends on the module and on your university. So prior to Pfizer, I did actually achieve my level 3 qualification, and that was in journalism and media, so nothing project management related. And I had applied and been accepted into university. However, I decided to choose and go the apprenticeship route, and that was just after doing some research and like talking through my options with my family and friends. I believed that for me it would be better for numerous reasons. So first of all, I'm a very hands-on learner, so definitely learn better through doing things rather than sort of like just reading or writing about them. Second of all, the opportunity to gain the valuable experience, not only in project management or like my study area, but also getting to experience working in Pfizer. So, you know, such an extraordinary company, it's huge, and getting that chance to work with loads of people worldwide, which definitely isn't something that I imagine myself doing, especially at the very beginning of my career. Thirdly, the chance of having my first full-time job, so no more part-time jobs that wouldn't progress me any further. And lastly, you know, proper bonus, it meant avoiding lots of university debt, but still getting my degree when I come out the other side. So my mum was really supportive of my choice to go for an apprenticeship rather than university. And again, I think it was just more for that experience side of things and the fact that it gives you a real opportunity to just kickstart your career. So if I move on to my next slide. So what is it that I actually do? So I sit within submissions management, more specifically in a team called SPACE, which stands for Submission, Process and Compliance Excellence. So this team is made up of various sub-teams, and I'm primarily part of the quality oversight group within that. But in order to aid my learning, I'm more project orientated. So that means that I get to work with various people across SPACE, submissions management and actually global regulatory affairs in general. When I came in at level 4, I had zero experience in project management, and I actually had zero experience in how an organisation like Pfizer even worked and what happened and what I would be doing. But Pfizer and Cogent were great at ensuring that I settled in, and they effectively just helped me build up my knowledge and my confidence. So they supported me in learning the basic skills that I needed, and soon after that I was very quickly contributing to projects and work within my close team. And then if you fast forward to now, to the level 6, obviously I've had 3 and a bit years to build up my experience, my knowledge and my confidence. And I am actually a project manager for the procedures and training work stream in our regulatory process simplification program. So this is a program that goes across the whole of global regulatory affairs, pretty big, that aims to define a single process that prevents data duplication and ensures compliant product and registration information across the systems that we use in Pfizer. So my role requires planning and managing activities for the procedure and training work stream. And I also work very closely with the work stream lead, the team members, and also actually the program manager that oversees the whole program. So my activities include managing the project plan, so ensuring that all of the activities are reflected in the plan, ensuring that they're all being completed on time, highlighting any risks and ensuring the timeliness of each activity within the plan, updating and changing the plan if I need to, monitoring the percentage complete of each of the activities, checking in with the leads and the team members of the activities, and also having to make decisions if any activities are delayed in order to minimise the overall programme and critical path impact. I also have to meet regularly with the programme manager. I have to ensure that she's up to date with the work stream's latest progress. And we also have to discuss any programme or work stream changes that are going to impact one another. So just for perspective, there are 9 other work streams in the programme. And lastly, I also am in charge of the weekly status report development for the programme leadership. So this just means I have to highlight what my team have achieved that week, what they're going to be focusing on in the following week, highlighting any risks and issues to the other work streams involved in the programme, and also just a summary of the actions and the progress for the programme leads. And alongside this, I'm also part of the change management and communications workstream. So I contribute to activities and provide resources which help the other colleagues to be more prepared for the changes that are coming as a result of the programme. So all about that business readiness for when we go live. All of this experience and everything that I do at work contributes to my apprenticeship evidence. So the work that I complete on a daily basis ultimately builds up my portfolio and is the proof of my learning and experience that is required to meet my university competencies. So these are a list of knowledge, skills and behaviours that I have to demonstrate I'm capable of in order to qualify for my apprenticeship. I personally like to keep slide decks, which contains everything I work on, as well as saving emails and getting written statements from my peers and my managers and leads to show what I've done, how I've done it, why I've done it a certain way, and things like that. And I'm now actually beginning the process of preparing for my endpoint assessment, which is the assessment taken at the end of your apprenticeship. That's with my university tutor. So we're now starting to go through all of my evidence together and find out the work which best demonstrates my knowledge and skills. So yeah, that's pretty much my apprenticeship in a nutshell. It's really valuable opportunity, and you know it has, and I know I'm going to continue to keep learning like skills that I need for my future and to progress my career further afterwards. And it's also just a great opportunity that continually not only challenges me, but especially within Pfizer, it helps me to identify my own strengths and weaknesses and you know what I do and what I don't like, so which all of that it aids my personal and my professional growth and development. So thank you for listening, and I'll now hand over to James.
All right, thanks very much, Ellie. So as it's already kind of been mentioned, my apprenticeship is laboratory based, so I consider it as that I have the fun job. No offense to my colleagues on the line. But basically, I just want to take you through how I got into my apprenticeship and the education path I've taken during it. So I have been an apprentice for 7 years now. It's been a very long journey. And then I kind of want to talk around the department that I work in with at Pfizer, how I fit into it and the different roles there are, and how some of the apprenticeships that are coming up this year fit into that role. And then kind of just talk about my experience, some of the pros and cons and things. So starting off with my education. So to get into before I started my apprenticeship, I studied A-levels at school. So these were kind of the 3 big STEM ones, which was chemistry, biology, and maths. whilst I was studying for my A levels, I applied for the apprenticeship at Pfizer to do the level 6, which is the degree apprenticeship, which I very fortunately got, which you can tell is the fact I'm on the line with you now. However, I can be honest and say that at the end of my A levels, I didn't get the good enough grades to go directly to university. I got E's in all of my subjects, but I did get the highest in my class. So I mean, I still think I've got that going for me. But Pfizer was very fortunately still took me on as a level 3 apprenticeship, which gave me a BTEC qualification, which then enabled me to go to university. So I won't talk too much about the BTEC, as I don't believe it's being offered as a laboratory-based role this year. But I will mention that that was a 2-year apprenticeship, which classed as a technician's apprenticeship. And at the end of that, I got a BTEC in applied science, which I achieved a distinction star distinction, which is kind of equivalent to an A or like a 2. I'm not 100% sure of the numbering system. Given that grade and my experience at Pfizer, then that was more than enough for me to then move on to the level 6 apprenticeship, which is a 5-year laboratory scientist apprenticeship, which is I'm in my last year for now. And as part of that, I'm studying for a bachelor's honours degree in chemistry at the University of Greenwich, which is the main provider and is an apprenticeship that we are offering this year. So talking around the education part of things, 1 day a week, so 20% of my work time, I will go to university and I will have lectures and be given assignments. And basically, I will learn exactly the same course as a full-time student studying this. The only difference is that I do it 1 day a week and I do it over 5 years rather than 3. I said, I really want to reinforce that I'm not like shuttled into a separate room or given a different lectures to full-time students. I'm in the same room as them. I'm doing exactly the same work and I'll get exactly the same degree out at the end of it. The only difference is it's longer and I'm not paying for it. And also, I should mention as well that the University of Greenwich is very supportive. They understand that I am studying part-time, so they will bear that in mind with some of the deadlines and will be a little bit looser because obviously I've got my work to balance alongside it, and the lecturers and the teaching staff have always been very, very supportive of that. So, on to the kind of more exciting things. So my actual role at Pfizer. So I work in the Chemical Research and Development Department, which is where the Level 6 Chemistry Apprenticeship is being offered. And our role is to essentially manufacture the active drug for medicine. This is basically the medicine. So this is the thing that goes into the medicine that actually works against you to help treat any illnesses. So when you take a pill, for instance, you'll have this active drug, which I help to manufacture. Then you'll have with kind of a load of formulations, which is what basically makes it into a pill, which you ingest. So within the chemical research development, so CRD, my job, along with a whole variety of other people, is to design the chemistry routes to make that drug. So I specifically work in the crystallization team, but there's many, many different teams throughout. So there's the chemistry role, which is what we're offering the apprenticeship in. And their job is to work out how do we make this medicine, so this API. So it's not like a school where you have A plus B equals C. More often it's A plus B plus C plus D, and then a little bit of G and F in there, and that will make your API. And you've got to then consider, well, what's my yield? What's my throughput? Is this safe? Kind of following this select things here. So is it safe? Is it cheap? Is it legal? So someone might have a patent on the chemistry route you want to use. Is it environmentally friendly? I'm not about to dump a whole lot of toxic chemicals into the local river. Is it controlled? Do I always know that when I add this to this, I will always get what I want? And you also need to consider throughput as well. You don't want to be spend a year making one drug. You need to get it through quickly to meet the patient's needs. Then we have the high throughput chemistry team, and their job, I think, sounds one of the coolest. Is they basically work with robots to run chemistry. So they will screen thousands and thousands of different reactions, all using these robots with mechanical arms and solvent dosing and solid dosing, all moving these thousands and thousands of vials around, designing so many different processes. and they really are using cutting edge technology to do this. Then you'll have chemical engineers, and their job is to basically say, great, it's wonderful your process works here, but how are you going to make that work when you take it to a big manufacturing facility where it's thousands and thousands of liters and tons of medicine you're making, rather than that kind of small little flask you have on the bench there. Then you have crystallization, which is the role I work in, and I'll go through that a little bit later on. And then finally, you have process safety, and their job is to essentially make sure we're not about to blow ourselves up. So they test things, for example, like melting point and boiling point of your medicine, or the reaction that we want to run. They'll make sure it's not shock sensitive. So if you shake it about, it's not going to explode. And they do this through a variety of different techniques. My kind of favorite one is called the drop hammer, where they literally just drop a hammer from a fixed weight on some material and see if it explodes. Yeah, we're not very inventive with the names. Then kind of on the other side of our role is the PDF. So this is the pilot plant that was mentioned earlier on in our presentation. So this is where we then take the processes that me and my team have designed in the lab, and then actually use those processes to actually manufacture the medicine. And you've got a lot of different roles in there, from people who maintain and look after the equipment, to actually then running the processes and working with the chemical engineers, how we can then take our lab process up to this massive manufacturing scale. There's a lot of considerations, and just in this one department, we have a lot of different roles, and they're really varied. So talking about my role, so I work as a crystallization scientist. So essentially, this white powder here is your medicine. So if you ever seen like a paracetamol and it comes off powdery in your fingers, or if you have one of those like capsules and you pull it apart, this white powder is what you're going to see inside. And if you look at this white powder under a microscope, 99% of the time, it will be these tiny crystals. So these kind of needle colorful ones here, or these kind of blocky ones here. And it's my job to make them. So I work out how to go from this kind of solution and gunk that the chemists have made, and make them these nice crystals that are pure. So there's no impurities in your drug. We're not going to have any unwanted side effects as a result of that, but also meet our quality standards and things like that. Basically make sure that we can then turn that white powder into a tablet. And as I've mentioned already, a big part of my role is, well, it's all well and good that I can do this in the lab in kind of a flask or something like that, but then how do I then take this up to this manufacturing scale? So it's a really big consideration. As we've kind of mentioned throughout, but I really would like to reiterate it, I'm not there to make the tea or sweep up after the actual chemists. I'm very much treated as part of the team. From day one, I was working with real life medicines that will one day go into a patient. And I've worked with a wide variety of different compounds that can treat things from cancer, diabetes, and a variety of different illnesses. So one day you may take a pill that an apprentice has been actively involved with working with. And I've also got a significant amount of responsibility, and I work with some of the latest technology. I mean, I think the easiest way to kind of think about it is how much the technology I work with is worth. So on a day-to-day basis, I will probably work with about £460,000 worth of equipment. And as part of my role, I'm in charge of maintaining about £1.5 million of equipment. And that's just a very small part of what we work with. So you can really see that I'm given a lot of responsibility, and I'm treated just the same as any other scientist. I still get the same responsibilities. I've still got to do the same data generation. I've got to design my experiments and communicate my results to ensure we get the best possible medicine out on the market. So the good and bads of being an apprentice. So yeah, there is a lot of advantages, and some of them we've talked through already, but I have tried to play devil's advocate here and give some disadvantages or some things to consider. Though you can kind of see that maybe I'm a bit biased, as the advantages is definitely a lot bigger than the disadvantages. So the work experience is invaluable. So compared to my peers who study full-time at university, I've worked on things that yeah, they have never touched or could even think about. I work with people who are subject matters in their area, who know more than anybody else in the world, and they've given me support and help throughout my entire apprenticeship. At the end of this, I'm coming out with 7 years industry experience, which you just cannot replicate, or it's very difficult to replicate in a full-time university. I'm salaried, so I do get paid throughout as well, which is very nice. Yeah, I won't give figures as it's quite difficult, but I will say it is a very decent wage. I've been obviously able to afford a lot in my lifestyle, so I rent a place, I have a car. I mean, some apprentices have even got mortgages on their wages. It is very good. The education side of things, so as I said, I am treated like a full-time student. Just it takes a bit longer. I have the same education and I'll have the same certificate at the end of it. Plus the fact that someone else is completely paying for it, so I don't have the £50,000 plus worth of debt at the end. And I think a really key thing as well is improvement in soft skills. So it's not just my technical knowledge that's improved, but it's my things like my presentation ability, which I'm talking to you today. Is communication. It's just understanding how to operate and be in a workspace. It's just around boosting your confidence and kind of understanding of the world and the industry. And the fact that I can network and with so many people from so many different areas, again, who are all subject matters. They know more than anybody, and they're more than happy to give their time to explain what they do. It's just really invaluable to understand their knowledge and experience. So again, playing a devil's advocate, some of the disadvantages is that this is much longer than a typical degree. So obviously, as I keep saying, it's 5 years versus 3. Yeah, it is obviously a bit longer, but I do think that kind of weighs out in the fact that you obviously get a lot more experience as part of it. However, on the subject of experience, you don't quite have the university experience. I mean, yeah, I would say it's not quite the same. Obviously, you still got you can still have your own independence. A lot of people move away from their parents and things. Though I would just say some things are more pushed to a Friday night rather than like a Wednesday or Thursday. And finally, the thing I should mention, it is hard work. You are obviously balancing that work and your own personal development alongside your university and studies. I do think that is a really big part of it that should be worthwhile considering. I'm not saying at all that it's completely impossible and it's an absolute nightmare, but I would consider that it can be a lot of work to make sure that you achieve the higher grades and get the most out of the experience. So yeah, final comments from me. I've really thoroughly enjoyed my 7 years at Pfizer. The experience and what I've done and what I've learned has been completely invaluable. It's been a great taster of industry. You can also do an apprenticeship before university or get your degree whilst get a degree while studying as an apprentice. You just get unmatched work experience, networking opportunities, and it has been an amazing time. Thank you.
Thanks guys. I'm sure everyone will agree that's the most interesting part of our presentation and gives you a real insight into why people choose to come to Pfizer. As Tim mentioned earlier, in terms of Pfizer, do your research. You can learn so much more about us through all of these channels. We'd really welcome you to have a good look around. And we'd like to spend a few minutes, if we can, opening for questions. If you'd like to get in touch, please do email us. There's an email address there, or have a look at our website. It's pfizer.co.uk/careers/apprenticeships. That will tell you a little more about the apprenticeship scheme, and it will also give you the link to look at the vacancies, apply for the vacancies, and get some more detail about each of the roles that are available. Massive thank you for your time, and hopefully we can cover some questions.
Thanks, guys. Hope everyone found that useful. I know I did. We've had a fair number of questions. So the first one, I've had a couple of questions about this, is regarding locations. So people are asking, do you help with relocation, or are there any plans to, for Pfizer to expand with more locations across the country? Any plans in that respect?
So at the moment, obviously I shared the 4 sites with you earlier through the presentation. I would say that during the pandemic, everybody who can work from home has been working from home, and we and they plan to moving forward. But we would envisage that there would be a blend of working from home and working from site if you're in a role that you can do that in. However, if you're successful in securing a laboratory-based apprenticeship, that would be based on the site at either our R&D site in Sandwich or our devices site in Cambridge.
Okay, thank you. There's been a couple of questions about progression, what sort of happens after the apprenticeship finishes. I know you spoke earlier about the apprentice is employed by Cogent. I mean, when the apprenticeship finishes, do people have to then reapply to Pfizer for a job? What's the sort of standard route?
Yeah, so I mean, Tim and I can probably share this question off together, but a lot we obviously advertise all of our vacancies all the time, and a lot of the apprentices will apply for a permanent role at the end of their apprenticeship, and they would be interviewed like any other candidate that had applied externally, and if they are successful, then they would secure a permanent role at Pfizer. It has become the apprentices are very keen to do that once they've completed their time. There wouldn't be any reason why they couldn't apply for the role, and it would be exactly the same recruitment process as anybody coming in from outside the organisation. But obviously they've already had, as James said, 7 years experience in that area, so it stands you in good stead for securing a permanent role with the company.
Yeah, and just adding a bit to that as well. So obviously, when the apprentice is coming towards the end of their apprenticeship, we'll have an IAG discussion, normally about at the 6-month stage, just before that they're coming to an end, really just to identify the next steps. So there could be progression opportunities. So as you've seen today, Ellie was successful. She went from going from a level 4 onto a level 6 apprenticeship. Or, that there are times also where the apprentice has said, oh, no, actually, I've served my time at Pfizer. I'd love to use my skills and experience and actually join a new company. So as I say, there's many different routes for apprentices when they come towards the end of their apprenticeship.
Thanks, guys. There's been a few questions about work experience as well. Is this something you guys Pfizer offer, to give people a taster, to see, maybe what apprenticeship role they might like to, do with you guys?
Yeah, we certainly do. So this year, again, we'll be running a virtual work experience programme. The dates are around the summertime. It's a 2-week programme, and certainly if it's something you're interested in, then please do contact us via the student programme's email address, and we can give you some more detail around that.
Thanks, guys. And we get a lot of questions about these with the degree apprenticeships. People are saying, how's it funded? Do you just fund, the student loan part of it? How does it all work? If you could just explain that to them.
Yeah, so with regards to degree apprenticeships, I mean, the costs of the training, so the university fees are paid by the employer. So the apprentice will not pay, they're not actually allowed by law to pay any kind of university fees as such. So as I say, that is paid for by the employer via the apprenticeship levy.
Okay, guys. Well, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the session now. But like the guy said, if you've got any questions which haven't been answered, feel free to ping them an email or connect on LinkedIn, something like that. Before we do wrap up, would you guys like to leave any parting words with the attendees today?
I would say, do your research, have a look around the website. Come to Pfizer, it's a great place to work. And, we look forward to hearing from all of you. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, and I would just say, hopefully you've seen today that even if you're not interested in a science-based apprenticeship, you can still work within the science sector. There are many jobs that require that are non-science based. So I would encourage everyone to apply for a role that hopefully you will find truly rewarding.
Thanks, everybody. I'll just say the session's been recorded. It'll be added to the on-demand section of the National Apprenticeship Week website, hopefully later this week or tonight even. And just to say, we've got a couple more live events later today, so have a check on the events tab as well. And just say thanks, everybody, for coming today. Hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. We'll say goodbye now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.